Why does big tech only believe that big tech can solve society's problems? Will Spotify be the Nike of audio? How should marketers position themselves for employment and growth in the 2020s? We'll dig into these trending topics and more on the Business Management Podcast at the intersection of marketing, technology, media, and popular culture. It's called Disruptive FM. Roll the title.
It's Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Welcome to Disruptive FM, where business and culture collide. Sponsored by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. With your host, Geoffrey Cologne.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Disruptive FM. This is episode 58. I'm Geoffrey Cologne, head of brand studio for Microsoft Advertising. Thanks for joining us. On the way, 3 trending topics to unpack. And we'll also hear from Melissa Llarena, career coach for marketing executives, about how to position yourself in the upcoming decade if you're a marketer. It's going to be a good one. So let's dive in.
Here are this week's trending topics. Solutionism.
Need to wake up by 6 a.m.? Grab your smartphone and set the alarm. Want to take more books on holiday than you can carry? Buy an e-reader. Driving to a place you've never been to before? Use Google Maps. In today's world, tech appears to be the answer to any day-to-day problem we might encounter, a situation in sharp contrast to times gone by, when we would have partly relied on human resourcefulness and mental agility to solve the same problems. This fixation with all things tech, the idea that every difficulty we might come across can somehow be ironed out with a technological solution, has been dubbed with its own term as of late, Solutionism. But it's recently been observed by some that as technology continues to advance, and we're becoming more and more wrapped up in how it can improve our 21st century lives, there's a growing expectation that it can solve everything. An increasing obsession with inventing these solutions using the right codes, programs, and bots, arguably to the detriment of alternative ways of thinking. In this version of society, it seems that the technical solution is king, and everything else takes a passenger seat in a driverless vehicle. Like racism, feminism, and many other isms before it, use of the word solutionism is crucially connected with debate and an ideology which provokes opposing points of view. Some would argue that with its attempts to effectively make life trouble-free via technology, solutionism might drive out imperfections, but in doing so shuts down other avenues of progress, ideas grounded in ethics and philosophy, rather than simply technology. A small illustration of this is the use of facial recognition. Sure, it unlocks your phone, but put into the wrong hands, and it becomes data for abuse by race, age, or gender. Plus, half the apps developed, a lot of brain drain into things like tracking your steps and calorie consumption, distracts us from solving issues of wider concern, like climate change or better food regulation. In the end, we're all about good tech solutions here at DFM, but we're not solely married to the belief that better living only comes through chemistry.
Trending topics on DFM. The Nike of audio.
Spotify wants to be the Nike of audio. What does that mean? Last week, CEO and founder Daniel Ek addressed how Spotify wants to grow larger than any of its competitors. But if you think Ek would say the plan to do that was more tech, you're mistaken. The answer to how Spotify scales, according to Ek, is through experimentation. But for Ek, the best way to expand the 248 million figure to 1 billion users of Spotify is through innovation and experimentation. In his own words, Ek said, quote, Spotify is going to have to experiment a lot more, end quote. The company today is made up of 5,000 people and earning many billions of dollars every year. But if they're going to keep that growth rate, then they're going to have to find $1 billion or $2 billion every year. And it's this culture of experimentation to drive innovation that Eck thinks will help with Spotify growth. In his own words, quote, "You can't have a culture of experimentation if you don't allow for failures to happen," end quote. Eck talked about how Spotify uses hack weeks to develop new ideas to push the app forward. He also said that he wants Spotify to conquer audio, to operate at such scale. And in order for Spotify to do that, it would need roughly 1 billion users. 1 billion people around the world that would want to consume some sort of audio content on a daily or weekly basis. Is it possible? Only experimentation will tell.
Trending topics on DFM. Marketing credentials.
We don't talk a lot about how marketers should evolve on this show, but we should, since we found out a majority of our audience happens to be marketers. And that led us to our next guest. Melissa Llarena is a marketing career coach. I met her at Advertising Week 2018 in New York City, and now she's in Australia, but still doing her thing. She commented recently how too many marketers don't position themselves well for the evolution of jobs in our field. That too many over-rely on a resume and don't show their real work or points of view to prospective employers. She and I were able to sit down a few weeks ago via Skype for a long chat about this subject and what I feel will be very valuable advice. Let's take a listen.
For the most part, recruiters are looking for specialists right now. And I think when a lot of my clients approach me to really figure out how to edge their way into these new sort of opportunities, like the growth potential opportunities, they feel really stuck, right? So what should recruiters be looking for? Given the market, the fact that there's so much disruption going on by smaller players, people that are more or less risk adverse, I would say looking for someone who is a generalist, I would argue. That comes from a series of conversations with clients such that once they've landed those opportunities, the companies actually want someone who may be able to be, super good at a particular skill, but is incredibly nimble. Right? Someone who's nimble. So that's one part of the puzzle as far as what it takes to be truly, truly successful as a marketer. If you are working for a large enterprise or mid-sized small organization that needs to make sure that, no one's eating up your market share. Like you need to be, iterating your efforts pertaining to really engaging people, getting new consumers, deepening those relationships. So being nimble, that comes straight from one of my clients who was chief growth officer at a bike leasing company. And that was necessary once her company was acquired. So being nimble is huge.
While you can specialize in one thing, that one thing will just keep you isolated in a silo and unable to see the larger picture of how all these patterns fit together. Melissa Llarena, career coach for marketing executives, on how to position and market yourself in the upcoming decade.
It's Disruptive FM.
Communications.
The Business Culture Podcast.
They say if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of today.
It's Disruptive FM, the culture of business. I'm Geoffrey Cologne. Thanks for being here. We would love to connect with you. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Disruptive FM. And you can connect with me personally on Twitter or Instagram at DJGEOFFE. Big shout out to our sponsor partners, Microsoft Advertising, Intelligent Connections. Create smarter customer journeys in the era of customer-centric marketing. Learn more at MicrosoftAdvertising.ai. and Branding Strategy Insider. Branding Strategy Insider serves 50,000 plus senior level marketers, CMOs, and business decision makers daily, and is distributed by partners such as the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, Google News, and Forbes. Branding Strategy Insider is the leading resource for thought leadership in brand strategy and brand management. Learn more at brandingstrategyinsider.com. And Iographer. Iographer creates accessories for your mobile device to help you make better videos. Their cases allow you to attach filmmaking accessories like microphones, tripods, and lenses, and help you to stabilize your video and look like a pro. And they won't bust your budget either. We use them on a lot of our videos we make here for Disruptive FM. Learn more at iographer.com. In the background, music from Kings of Tomorrow and Random Soul. It's a track called Reach. It's out now on Deep Visions Records.
And now, Disruptive FM presents... What?
What kind of shit is that?
Come on!
All right, this isn't a political story, but one on advertising that involves a politician. Last week, Michael Bloomberg announced that he was entering the presidential fray for 2020. Nothing wrong with this. We're still a year away from the election. However, we here at DFM noticed that his media team released an ad blitz plan, and we just had a double take. They plan to take out TV ads daily from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on local news outlets throughout the greater Los Angeles metro area. All in all, you will see over 9 ads during this time period from Monday through Friday if you are tuned into one of the 5 networks with local news. This is very expensive, but hey, when you're a bazillionaire, you can afford to do that. In fact, could this be the most expensive bust running for president in history? Grab the popcorn and we'll find out. But in regard to that ad blitz plan, there's just one problem we noticed with it, and it's all based on common sense behavior. Who's it trying to reach? Retirees? Most Los Angelinos are still driving to get home between 4 and 7 p.m. in a city mired with traffic jams. Maybe a more sound policy would have been ads on radio and audio, where people he's trying to reach could possibly listen. We know California is important for Super Tuesday, but how you reach those people who will be voting is equally important. Not all media is equal. We expect media buyers to understand this. I mean, you are paid to not just purchase media, but to understand how people interact with it. And to this, we say...
What? Come on!
Okay, here are a few stories that are starting to create some buzz. We think you might want to pay closer attention. It's a segment we call On the Radar.
Here's what's on our radar. Number 1.
Some of the biggest companies in America are putting the brakes on equipment spending and other capital investments. 12% of businesses cut or delayed capital spending in the first half of 2019, which resulted in about $40 billion being lost in investment. Trade tension has been the biggest catalyst, as it has left brands unsure about their supply chains, pricing, and profits. Harley-Davidson, AT&T, and Target are among the firms slowing spending, signaling a continued drag on economic growth.
Number 2.
America may be on the brink of a housing glut. Baby boomers are expected to vacate roughly 21 million homes over the next 20 years, aka the silver tsunami. More than the amount of new properties sold during the past 20-year period. And here's the problem. Many of these properties are in Arizona and Florida, or parts of the Rust Belt in the Midwest, where younger people may no longer want to live. Another challenge, younger buyers may lack the financial strength to absorb all of this new supply.
Number 3.
When it comes to movies these days, it's go big or go home. Big budget films, often costing $100 million or more to make, and frequently consisting of sequels and remakes of popular series, are now hitting movie theaters almost every weekend. Many are now branded as events, as climbing ticket prices have to be justified against cheaper at-home streaming options. Middle market films typically costing $20 to $40 million to produce and targeting a specific audience is meanwhile struggling to perform, risking its future in cinemas. Okay, that's going to do it for DFM, episode 58. Big thanks to our guest, Melissa Llarena. Next week, more heat for you. Joined by Adrian Bellina of Jam 3, talking all things experiential. And over the next few weeks, we have Rick Farman, author David Epstein, and Casey Carroll. Also, check out a special episode of DFM with myself and Aya Kikamova, where we look at the trends you need to know for the 2020 decade. It's called 2020 Vision. Trust me, you're going to want the ear goggles for that one. As always, thank you for your time and attention. Do us a favor, rate, review, and subscribe to the show. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Deezer, and Pandora. One more time, the socials, Twitter and Instagram at DisruptiveFM. Check out cool content from our sponsors at MicrosoftAdvertising.ai, BrandingStrategyInsider.com, and iographer.com. Until next time, from everyone here at DFM, I'm Geoffrey Cologne. We'll catch you next week.
You've been listening to Disruptive FM with Microsoft Communications designer Geoffrey Cologne. All thoughts are his own. Disruptive FM is produced in Los Angeles by Feeler Media.